If you are a dripping fiend, you're a flavor chaser, and you do not mind sacrificing convenience for a great vape, this device right here, this thing may just be for you. Today I'm going to be talking about this Freakshow Mini. She's a 22mm dripper. The price point for this device is super low, super competitive, $29.99. So the build I have in this sucker is a 0.8 ohm macro coil using 26 gauge Kanthal, using some Japanese cotton. Gonna go ahead and vapor. Right now I've got her sitting on this Vapor Shark DNA 40. Got her vaping at 21.5 watts. Only 21.5 watts. Like I said, this is for the flavor chasers out there. This isn't for the guys that want to just take up the wattage and just chuck the clouds, okay? That's not what this device is for. So yeah, 21.5 watts. Here we go. And I tell you, the flavor is just super duper concentrated. It's like taking a bite out of the juice you're vaping, especially the creamy based juices. Full body, baby, full body. Very comparable to something like the Lancia RDA I reviewed in the past. Okay, I even prefer this more than that one because the chamber is just smaller than that, and it just gives me a warmer vape, especially at lower wattages. I love being able to vape at lower wattages like 21, 20 watts. I mean, hell, I could take this down to 18 watts and it vapes great. 18.5 watts. You see? But my favorite wattage setting is low 20s, okay, for this device. It gives me that warm, dense, hot type of vape, and that's what I'm looking for. And you know, come to think about it, it's very similar to the Vertex version 2 as far as me being able to vape at lower wattages with a satisfying vape. Because I remember talking about in the Vertex version 2 review, I was able to vape 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 watts and get a kick-ass vape, warm, dense, hot vape. That's how this one is, man. You could close it off. Hell, I could close this thing off, go 15 watts. Let me see how it vapes. 15 watts. Still great, man. It's not quite as good as the Vertex version 2 at lower wattages, like 15 watts, but 18 and up, 18 to like 24 is a sweet spot. 22, 23 is my sweet spot. Okay, like I said, I had 21.5. That's right there, man. Right there is just killer. So before I talk about this device more in depth, I want to go ahead and take you guys down so you can see the deck, so you can see the build that I have in here and how I wicked it. Okay, and then we'll come back and I'll talk about the pros and the cons. Sound good? Let's go. Alrighty, so here's the Freakshow Mini. Now on the side, you see the Project Sub Ohm logo. Those are the guys that designed this sucker right here in the USA, and this thing is made by a company out of China called Wotofo, and she is made of 3 or 4 grade stainless steel. Now this dripper is 22mm in diameter. Okay, so at the top of this top cap, you got 2 heatsink fins to keep this device cooler longer. And then at the top of this top cap where the drip tip hole is, you have a Delrin drip tip port to keep the drip tip cooler. Adjustable airflow time, you got 3 slots on the outer barrel / top cap. 1, 2, and then 3. The slot in the middle is for your single coils, and then the 2 slots on the outer side that are parallel, 1 and then 2, are for your dual coils. Now each slot is 9mm by 3mm. So I got her on this Vapor Shark RDA 40. 1 slot over here, 1 slot over here. That's for your dual coils. Now I've got this slot in the middle, and I've got a single coil. I'm running a single coil in here, as you guys can see. Pie-yow. Line her up, pop her on there, and then what I'll do to adjust her is just pull her wide open. Okay, if I want to close her off, close her off, close her off, close her off, close her off. Pop top cap off, realign it, go wide open again. That's how I've been doing it. Pop it on there and we're wide open, and then we can go from there. If we want to adjust it tighter, 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 we could do that. Or we can run this sucker in dual air hole mode. So we got 1 coil over here, the single coil. Let's just say we got another coil on this side. All we're going to do is we're going to turn it to where the slots are parallel. Pop it on there like so. Pop her down, both sides, wide open. To adjust it, turn, close her off, close her off, close her off. Same on both sides, blocked off on this side. That's dual air hole mode, dual air hole adjustable mode. We can close her off even more, okay? If we want to bring her back wide open on each side, take the top cap off, line her up again, wide open, and boom. That's how we do it. Adjustable airflow, baby. One more look at just the outer top cap, or the top cap / barrel. Inside the top cap. Here's the base of this device. As you guys can see, Freakshow Mini. You got the serial number down here, my serial number 191, and then right here is the 510 pin. It is silver plated copper, and it is adjustable. 510 threads, buttery smooth. Now here's the deck. You got a 3-post design. The 2 negative posts are milled into the deck. You got post hole slots. I've been able to use 24 gauge and 26 gauge pretty much with ease. 22 gauge, I can run it in single coil mode, but in dual coil mode it can get a little tricky. But I prefer using 24 and 26 because if I'm doing a macro coil like I am right now with this 24 gauge, I mean that's about as large as I can use with the lower gauge wire. I mean I'm barely able to fit this sucker in here without it touching the base or the bottom lip right here or the top of the top cap. So yeah, if you're the type of vapor you want to use something lower than 24 gauge like 22 gauge or 20 gauge, this device probably is not for you. But yeah, the post uses grub nuts, okay, to tighten down and make a connection with all your leads. And in the center you have your wick channels, and those wick channels are 5 millimeters deep. Double O-rings right here on the lip for the top cap to fasten down to seal in the juice. Now you got these 2 slots, these 2 9mm by 3mm slots, one on one side and then one on the other. Now you just saw how the adjustable airflow works, but the airflow comes from the bottom, okay, very similar to the Lancia RDA like I mentioned. Okay, comes from the bottom, from here all the way up underneath the coil, and the way I set it up with the coils is I have it halfway on, halfway off, okay, so halfway over the wick channel and then halfway over the slot, the airflow slot channel. Alrighty, so see that black insulator down there? Okay, that is not made of PEEK. I repeat, that is not made of PEEK. It's actually made of Delrin, and that is a big con in my opinion. Project Subohm, the guys that designed this, you guys need to just redesign that insulator. Put an insulator in there that's made of PEEK, not Delrin. Alright, so I got her wicked. Now this is how I've been wicking her. I've been using Kogen dough, Japanese cotton, and all I've been doing is I've been stuffing just a little bit of wick slightly down in that wick channel on this side, and then I've taken the wick channel over here, popped it up, and popped it in between these two posts just to where a little bit of the tail end hits that other wick channel. I get her nice and saturated, and then what I'll do is when I vape, I'll make sure I tilt it this way, okay, where the coil is facing me, where the airflow that's open is facing me. And then what happens is the juice just falls right back onto the coil. So I fill this channel up just a little bit. Just a little bit. You don't want to overflow it. And like I said, when I tilt it down where the airflow is facing me, the coil is facing me, that juice that's in that wick channel is going to just fall right onto the wick. It's going to hit this tail end of the wick here. It's going to just flow right to the coil, and boom, every time. So I got my preferred drip tip in this sucker. Got her sitting on this Vapor Shark RDA 40. Now this drip tip has been my favorite drip tip. This has been my go-to drip tip, I will say, for the past 2 months now. And this is the Trinity glass tip, okay? I'll have a link in the description where you can get this sucker. But yeah, that is the Freakshow Mini. Let's go ahead and take her back to FaceTime, vape on her, and wrap this sucker up. Oh yeah, and I also want to state this. It does come with a baggie of extra goodies, some extra O-rings, some extra grub nuts, and an Allen key tool. When it starts to get dry, take the cap off. Got my juice. What I'll do, one stroke. And then I'll put it just a few drops in the opposite channel. Line the hole up about halfway open, face the air hole towards me, and watch. I guarantee you I can go 10 hits without a dry hit. Ready? Starting to go dry. What was that, like 14 or 15 hits? So then what I do, take the cap off, look at it. Yep, it's completely dry. What I'll do is I'll take my juice, one brush. That's all you need. One brush of e-liquid over the whole wicking coil. The other wick channel, a few drops in there. I'm good to go. I get at least 10 more hits. Yeah! So now I want to go over the cons, okay? Like I mentioned, you're sacrificing convenience for vape quality with this device. Someone who just wants to drip through their drip tip, and they just want to drip, drip, drip. They don't want to take the top cap off and paint it on their wick and coil. You're not going to want to use this because every time you drip, you're risking the juice getting down into those channels, the channels that are facing up underneath the coil. And if it does that, it's going to leak like a son of a bitch. That's why you have to take the top cap off. You got to take the time. This is not for everybody. This is for the vapor that knows what they're doing. They know what they want out of it, and what you're going to get is just great kick-ass flavor. Just like I showed you, every time you pop the top cap off there and you paint the juice onto that wick and coil to get it nice and saturated, you pop that sucker back on there. Every time you pop that sucker on and off, on and off, on and off repetitively, it's going to push juice down and outside beyond the RDA onto your mod, and the problem is that it will get sloppy over time. It's going to. You're going to have juice sit underneath the RDA over time. For example, I took this sucker off off about 45 minutes ago, and I had juice. It wasn't bad, but I had juice sitting on my mod. I had to clean it off. You know what? I said this is a dripper. They should call this the painter, because you're not really dripping. It's for the painter. But other than those cons, this thing has been a real treat to use, especially once you learn how to use this thing properly. First pro, like I mentioned at the beginning, the price point, $29.99. That's a no-brainer. I mean, it's super affordable. Number two, build quality. I give this sucker a good 8 out of 10. Machine oil, I didn't have hardly any machine oil. One rinse, and I was good to go. 3, having a single or dual coil option is a big plus in my book. The 510 threads, buttery smooth, fits on all my devices. Okay, variable voltage, variable wattage, mechanical mod, sits down, makes a connection. In the 510 pin, it's got a silver-plated copper 510 pin, which is super conductive. Tolerances of the O-rings, I mean, I can hold it just like that. Top cap's not coming off, but I can adjust it with ease. I mean, it spins, super easy, but it doesn't spin too much to where it spins out of control. It just stays into place. It's got the right amount of restrictiveness. To me, it's easy to build on, and also the grub nuts. Love the grub nuts. They never back out. They make a great connection, and also those grub nuts are smoothed out at the base, which means they're not going to clip my wire. Every drip tip that I own fits and fits snug as a bug, and also at the drip tip connection, it's got a Delrin tip port, which is supposed to keep the drip tips cooler longer. As you guys saw in the close-up, you got those 2 heatsink fins, which is also supposed to keep the device cooler longer. So yeah, those are all the pros and the cons that I found for this device. The shop that sent this to me to review for you guys is a shop by the name of VaporDNA.com. Again, they're selling this thing for $29.99. Now, if I'd have lost this thing today, would I go out tomorrow and buy one? And the answer is yes. I mean, 30 bucks, that's not that big of an investment, especially for what you're getting and for the experience that I've had with this. Definitely. You just got to know how to use it. This is Rip Trippers, and remember, smoking is dead, vaping is the future, and the future is now.